Hello and welcome to Todd Rolls Dice, where we're going to take a look at the upcoming Space Wolves release. And we're going to try and figure out what's going on, because there's a hell of a lot of data cards probably definitely disappearing. I thought today, because I am really falling hard for the Space Wolves, I thought we'd take a look and we'd see if we can work out what's actually going to go on. So just to clear a few things up first, there's a Loyalist Space Marines, not Chaos, which means they will actually get access. We believe let you use everything in Codex Space Marines. So I'm going to work on the theory that that's the same here. So I'm not going to talk about any of the traditional Space Marine units, the standard Codex Space Marine units. I'm just going to work on the theory that we'll have access to them too if you want. We're going to solely focus on the Space Wolves. So we know that they're dropping down to 20 data cards. We'll check that out at the bottom. It talks about the Codex. I think that they have 34. Logan Grimnar has 2 depending on which version you take. So let's just say 13 are going to go. First of all, we're going to look at what's definitely confirmed as being included, and then I'm going to throw some theories out at what these could be replacing as we go through. By the way, I love this box. If you saw my reaction to it, the live reaction we did for Adepticon, I love this box. I love everything in this box, and I want this box right now. And I'm not really looking at 40k. That's how cool I think these are. But we're definitely getting new Blood Claws. Also, Grey Hunters, they're definitely coming. So that is 2 variants. And the poses are very different. So it isn't the same box that builds either kit. These are 2 separate kits. Next up, we have the Wolfguard Head Takers. So my initial thought is this is the Space Wolf Blade Guard variant. Every chapter's had it. The Sanguinary Guard, which I'll only mention once. And then the Inner Circle Companions. So both of those other chapters got a specific 3-man, 6-man unit that are meant to be like a bodyguard. That's what the Wolfguard Head Takers are. Now, Head Takers as a unit is a brand new thing, but there is already Wolfguard. We'll touch on that as we go through, but they come with their own Fenrisian wolves as well. There is elements of cybernetic interference with these wolves, though, which may play a part. You see there's a port there. May play a part into what we're talking about when it comes to the wolves themselves. Wolfguard Battle Leader. There is already a Battle Leader, but one of them is in Terminator armor and one of them is on a Thunderwolf. We'll touch on those variants later, but this is effectively the nameless character that you're going to be running as a lieutenant. Again, beautiful model. We're also getting a Wolf Priest. The Wolf Priest doesn't have a datasheet. So far, all of those units, you can kind of link them up to a datasheet that's already in the existing index. This guy doesn't have, because he never had a model for years. So that's obviously 1 new datasheet, so we're now down to working out 19. But that's what we're getting. And as I say here, this just confirms datasheets for 20 unique units. It's a hell of a step down. We do also know that there is more releases coming. As and when they're going to be revealed, we're not actually sure. It could be a WarCom thing, it could be a proper reveal show. This isn't it for the Space Wolves. But now we're going to jump over to a PowerPoint I threw together, going through all of the index cards, characters, units, and discuss what's sort of happening. And I'm going to talk more about what potentially new things we will be getting while we're doing that. So let's jump over to that now. So there's a lot to talk about really with this. We've gone over the contents of the new army box. We've touched on some of the new units. We know that more is coming, but I wanted to just dive into what was said on the reveal stream a little bit more. First up, the Wolf Priest. While he's a new model, he also takes the role of a chaplain/apothecary hybrid. Basically, mixing those 2 roles together is how the Space Wolves have always done it. They don't follow the Codex Astartes, they do their very own thing. Which is, I think, what makes this even harder, because this Space Wolf relaunch could actually be a nod in where Space Marines will be going forward in the back end of 10th into 11th and the future of Space Marines. But does that mean, because we're getting a Wolf Priest, a model that doesn't exist, and a data card that doesn't exist in this current index? I believe it was got rid of at the end of 9th. Does that mean we won't have any access to apothecaries or chaplains individually because the Space Wolves don't run them? I don't know. But honestly, while that is the way that they've dealt with Chaos, and Chaos is locking out units, I think that you can justify locking out those 2 units from Space Wolves, and it can really make Space Wolves feel like a unique dedicated chapter to their own thing, which I think personally for me, from a modelling point of view, a hobby side, I've really been missing that idea. The battle leader was mentioned as a lieutenant level character, so while I'm not saying they're going to be locking out generic lieutenants, the battle leader is, it sounds like they've taken a little bit of a step down in rank. A Wolf Lord was mentioned in passing when talking about the battle leader and how a battle leader would step up to the Wolf Lord level, or field promotion, whatever, when a Wolf Lord died. So does that mean that we're going to get a new Wolf Lord because we don't actually have a Wolf Lord on foot at the moment? Pack Leader is its own separate individual unit, very much like the Deathwing Strike Master. If you remember, the Dark Angels had higher level sergeant that followed that company around. He was connected to and led that company. When the new Deathwing Knight kit came out, he was just got rid of. It sounds like they're doing the same thing with Pack Leaders, because Pack Leader options were mentioned inside the Grey Hunters kit. So have they been relegated to sergeants and are now part of that 10-man, and your sergeant is just a pack leader? That's what I'm hypothesizing here. Head takers fight with the wolves, but the wolves can fight separately. So I initially took that as wolves will be their own units. I don't know if that's going to be the case, because they're boxing the wolves with the head takers to make this 6-model kit. Does that mean that they're not going to release the wolves separately, or is there going to be new wolves? How are they going to address Fenrisian wolves? So I'll talk about that when we get to that slide, because I do think Fenrisian wolves as a data card are staying. But I think understanding what they actually mean by they can fight separately, is that just the head takers can fight and then the wolves have their own separate little entry where they can fight individually, or can they actually disconnect from the head takers as a unit and be their own unit of wolves? We don't know yet. And then I touched on it previously, but there's more coming. So the words were, expect more characters, more elites, the range refresh you're looking for is here. That's what Nick said. So I'm taking characters to mean both named and unnamed characters, and more elites. Okay, it could just be a box of Terminators, which I do think we'll be getting. A little spoiler for further down the video. Everybody seems to be getting, well, everybody but Blood Angels seems to be getting new Terminators. Blood Angels got shafted pretty hard, I think, with a refresh, but it sounds like Space Wolves is going to be a little bit more of a whole range refresh. To what I'm understanding, I don't know any of the rumours, nobody tells me any of the rumours. I have purposefully stayed away from any videos talking about rumours until I do this video. A lot of what I say could very well be wrong, but we're going to get into what I think is staying of the 20 units and which 14 I think are going. The first one I think that's going to go is Logan Grimnar on foot, because I don't think he has a model. Now, Logan Grimnar is in Terminator armor, befitting a character of his stature. He is effectively Marneus Calgar of the Space Wolves. He's the chapter master, and also of all of the lore little bits and things I've seen, he's just genuinely is an absolute dude. But I don't think they're going to get anything new for Logan Grimnar. His model is 12 years old, I think, but I think it's different and individual enough. Also being a mounted model, much like Samael, I think he's going to stick around, but I don't think he's going to get a new model this edition, potentially down the line, 11th, 12th, maybe. Despite him being in Terminator armor, he's definitely staying. He's too big a name to get rid of, but I don't think he's getting the Terminator rework that most of the other characters I think will get just yet. Njal Stormcaller, he is again a very individual character. He is the named psyker for the Space Wolves. He's in Terminator armor, and that's why I think, because Terminator's got the big refresh in 10th, a lot of characters in Terminator armor have been getting refreshed as and when their codex supplements or whatever have come out. I think that he is going to get a new model in new Terminator armor, and he will be running around with Terminator squads and Wolfguard Terminators down the line. So absolutely yes, I think Njal Stormcaller is going to stick around. Ulrik the Slayer. I think this is a really tough one to call. Now, I have made a decision. I think he should stay, and as a character in the lore, I think he will stay. But I think he goes primarily because we're getting a wolf priest who is probably going to fulfill that role. While I think that's a really bad idea, I think Ulrik should still be around. I think if you were going to do an Ulrik the Slayer, you wouldn't do a wolf priest. at this point in time is kind of where my head is. You can argue with me in the comments, absolutely please do. But right now, Ulrik isn't going to get a new model, although he is still going to be a character in the lore. His datasheet is going to go, but down the line he will be reintroduced, hopefully 11th, because I think he's a great character. But I think he's going. Arjac Rockfist, while throwing a hammer around is incredibly cool, but is also, it's very Nordic, Thor inspired. It's a little bit Marvel, I suppose, for people's reference points now with Thor in the Marvel movies doing it. I just think he's too cool a model to get rid of. And he's in Terminator armor. So I think he stays. I think he gets a new model. Does he need it? I mean, size-wise, yes, but I think the pose and everything, I think he kind of works. But he's currently, I believe, in resin or fine cast. So they're absolutely getting rid of him. But I do think he's going to get replaced. Lukas the Trickster. I think there's a limit. And I think the cutoff point is Terminator or Tacticus armor. And I think, while I'm still adamant that they are not getting the Primaris, these are now all Primaris Marines, I think we're getting a merging of Primaris and what tactical squads are, and they're just now Space Marines. I think that the extent of that is that the older characters on the smaller scale, you're going to either see them refreshed or they're going to get gone. Lukas the Trickster, I think, is going to go for now. I'm hoping at some point that these characters will return, but I just don't see them refreshing anybody in Tacticus outside of what we've already seen this edition as a named character. Ragnar Blackmane, I mean, obviously has to stay. He was the first Primaris named Space Wolf character. He has a lovely model. He has a, great background. They're not going to remove that model. It's that straightforward. So he's definitely staying. He was one of the obvious ones. This is going to be a recurring theme. Krom Dragongaze has some really cool rules. He has a cool little backstory. But I think just because of the size of him, I think he's going to go. Remember, I'm being horribly harsh in this. But that's because we have to lose 14 datasheets from 34 to get down to this 20. It's a brutal culling of almost half the range. It's going to be some big named characters that go. I hope he would come back. I hope all of these characters come back with amazing new models and amazing new stories and little bits in the lore. And I will say, I don't think any of these characters are being cut from the lore. I don't think they're being killed off screen or anything like that. I just think before they put a full refresh of all the characters, they're just going to disappear for a little bit and they'll come back in the next 3 years, I think. Iron Priest. Such a unique model. The great thing about Space Wolves is they have their own little things. The Iron Priest is basically a tech marine. There isn't any other model like it. I think he stays. I hope we get a new one, and I'm predicting a lot of new models. But if not, I do think he still stays because he is such a cool, unique model, and I believe he's in plastic. So even if he doesn't get upgraded or reworked or resculpted or whatever, I think he sticks around until he is, and I don't think his datasheet is going anywhere. Because he's so unique. Bjorn the Fell-Handed. So currently Bjorn is a multi-part kit, plastic, with 3, I think, other types of Dreadnought. You've got Bjorn, you've got Murderfang, you've got the Venerable Dreadnought, and then you've got the Wolfen Dreadnought. I think that kit is going away. But I think Bjorn is going to stick around. I don't know how you can get rid of Bjorn. I think he's just too big to get rid of, and I think there would be a riot if they got rid of Bjorn, in all honesty. So I think Bjorn stays, and I also think that he gets a brand new kit. I think he has to. So while he may not get the brand new kit now, his kit is currently out of stock. At time of recording, you will struggle to find that Venerable Dreadnought kit with any of the characters, and that's usually a little nod to what's happening. Maybe they're running the stocks down. But I think you can't get rid of Bjorn, so I'm saying Bjorn stays, and I'm saying he gets a new model. And I think that new model will also build a new Murderfang, because while it might be an odd pairing, I think if you have a dual character Dreadnought kit, Blood Angels didn't get anything for their Dreadnoughts, really, which was very weird. But as we've said, the Blood Angels got done dirty. As much as you can't get rid of Bjorn, I don't think you can get rid of Murderfang. And if you just have a classic style Dreadnought chassis, much like the Ballistus, with a mixture of arms and then a different sort of coffin faceplate and a few little different decals to make them more individual. It's got to be an easy win for two characters that Space Wolf players do not want to see gone. Murderfang has some incredible rules. He's such a great character. So however wrong I am, and it goes against what GW have been doing this edition with these refreshes, I think Bjorn and Murderfang are going to be a dual kit, and I think they stay. Absolutely think they stay. I don't think you can get rid of either one of them. Harald Deathwolf. Now this is going to sort of show my hand on a lot of these choices and where I think a lot of the culling is going to be. Dark Angels got one Ravenwing upgrade on their brand new upgrade sprue, but no new Ravenwing. Those kits are still around. Like I said, Samael, talking about Logan Grimnar, Samael didn't get a refresh, but he is still around. I think Thunderwolves, as a cavalry unit, as a fast attack unit, are disappearing for now. I'm not saying that they're not going to get anything in the future, but I think the datasheets, if it has a Thunderwolf cavalry keyword on it, it's gone. And I think maybe 11th, maybe 12th, somewhere down the line in the next 3-5 years, I think they will return. But Games Workshop is very reluctant to do anything with fast attack or mounted characters, heroes, even troops. The only kits really is Outriders for bikes and that level of Thunderwolf size. And the bikes are still the push fit from the 8th starter set. Was it 8th or was it 9th? It might have been the Indomitus. I think it's an easy cull to get rid of Thunderwolf Cav. I think they're going to go. I think they look, compared to the new stuff, they just look a little bit silly and dated, but I think they will come back down the line. And how amazing would it be to see bigger Thunderwolves with true scale Space Marines riding on the back, looking epic. But because of that, I think Harald Deathwolf is gone. Don't need to go through the same spiel for Canis Wolfborn. Again, I think it's horrible that we're losing so many characters and a whole section of units, but this has to go some way or another, doesn't it? I think he's gone. Wolf Priest, we know we're getting a new Wolf Priest. Wolf Lords, Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf. I've already told you what I think is happening with anything on Thunderwolf. I think he's gone. But I do think we're getting a new Wolf Lord sculpt. There's no generic captain model on foot for the Space Wolves. It was mentioned when they were talking about their reveal, how the battle leader steps up to take the place of a Wolf Lord in a larger fight when needed. But you have to have a Wolf Lord model to represent that. Or maybe, I mean, they don't like to do dual kits. You have captains, you have lieutenants. It's not a, this kit will make a captain or a lieutenant. They're very different in the eyes of GW. So I think we have to get a unnamed captain level character unit, which would be the Wolf Lord, and I think we're getting a new Wolf Lord. Battle Leader we know is coming, which means Wolfguard Battle Leader in Terminator armor. I think we get a new one, but I think that new one could well be a different Terminator chest piece that you get in the upgrade sprue. I don't know if he will have his own unique model. As it stands at the minute, the picture that they have there of a Wolfguard Battle Leader in Terminator armor is from the Wolfguard in Terminator armor box, and it was an option to make. I think they're maybe going to go down that route and it's in the upgrade sprue, but I definitely think a datasheet for a Wolfguard Battle Leader in Terminator armor is going to be there. Wolfguard Battle Leader on Thunderwolf, I'm sorry. Wolfguard Pack Leader, now this is a tough one, because my initial thought is, yes, he stays, because we already have a model for him, but I think that model might disappear, and I think that unit is going to disappear because it was referenced in the Grey Hunters kit, the new kit. You have the things to make a pack leader in there. But it is quite a nice model. It'd be a shame to see it go. I'd love to see this model released on his own, but in the description of the box, this is the Space Wolf Combat Patrol. He is just down there as a Primaris Lieutenant, so I don't know what will happen, but I think he's a lovely model. I'd love to get my hands on him. I'm just not spending 100 quid on a Combat Patrol I don't want. But yeah, I think because of that, all of the pack leaders are going to disappear and they're just going to become integrated as sergeants. Same with the Terminator armor. I think the pack leader as an individual data card is gone. Wolfguard. We know that they're staying. Not quite as they are. You're not going to be taking a squad of 10 or anything like that, but we do know the Wolfguard head takers are here and they will fill that role of the Wolfguard. That's what I see happening here. I've already said it, Wolfguard Terminators, I don't see how you can't have the addition of refreshed Terminators, and 1, get rid of Wolfguard Terminators, and 2, not have the Terminators upgraded, probably alongside the Terminator Assault Squad, because we still don't have Terminators with melee weapons for any chapter. I think they're definitely going to get a refresh. I think they will be revealed at some point in the next few weeks, along with any of the other stuff that I'm talking about, because I think this is going for pre-order soon, or at least the army boxes. How can we not get Wolfguard Terminators? And their Terminators are set up so differently to any other Terminators in the game. It just makes sense to me, anyway. And they wouldn't keep that datasheet and not upgrade the Terminators. I just don't see that happening. Bloodclaws, we already know that they're staying. They're getting a nice upgrade. They look fantastic. I'm looking forward to these. Same with Grey Hunters. We already know that they're staying. Their role is very different though, and I think this is one of the problems with 10th edition that I talked about in the drop pod video. It looks like they have lost access to special weapons outside of the pistol that the sergeant would have, or the pack leader has. So fundamentally, and let's just bounce back a little bit, I think these are going to be very different because you're not going to be able to take flamers, grav guns, melters, plasma guns. I think that's a real shame, but that is how intercessors function, and these are basically intercessors with chainswords. Hounds of Morkai. So these are the Phobos Space Wolf Reavers, basically. They're anti-psyker. I think because of how we've seen this stuff go, and upgrade sprues have been changed and got rid of the old, smaller sprues and becoming this new thing with transfers and a whole host of amazing options. But I think because of that change to how upgrade sprues work, I actually think the Hounds of Morkai are going to go. Nobody runs Reavers anyway. Reavers are a bit naff, and it is just Reavers with an upgrade sprue. Because that upgrade sprue is going to disappear, it's then just Reavers. So I think that they're gone. Skyclaws. Skyclaws are incredible. They are a jump pack troops unit that can take special weapons. We have nothing like that in the new Space Marine range. The new jump pack unit, the assault intercessors with jump packs, they just have bolt pistols and chainswords. So if we were going to get Skyclaws, that is how they would represent them, and it would be basically the Bloodclaws with jump packs is how they would go. But for this edition, and I know that we have got new jump pack troops this edition, but I don't think that this happens. Certainly not as they are with the amount of weapon options that they have. They are definitely going. For now, I hope that they come back in future, but for now, I think they're going. Long Fangs. I will be devastated when these go, and my connection to the Space Wolves is very limited, it's very new, it's a fledgling thing, but these guys, and it's because it's the old Devastator squad. The Devastator squad is just 5 guys with a variety of heavy weapons, and they were just incredible. I absolutely love them as a squad idea, and the mix of weapons, like a take all comers kind of thing. We have nothing like that in current 40k. The kit has had no murmurings of being upgraded, but they are a 5-man, I mean it says 1 pack leader and then 4 to 5 long fangs. I don't think they're going to be any more than a 5-man unit, and I honestly think that they are going to get a new kit. I think this refresh is going to be huge, and I'm getting too excited. And this is copium, and I'm probably wrong, but this is, you know, I'm giving you my thoughts on this. I think we get new long fangs. I think those long fangs are a riff on the heavy intercessors box, so they're all in Gravis. I don't think that they have heavy weapons, but I think they have heavy bolt rifles, and then one will have a heavy bolter. And from everything I've figured out on long fangs and the difference between long fangs and grey hunters, I think that shift sort of fits, but it also brings in Gravis armor into the traditional Space Wolves line. I think that's how it's going to go. I would love them to get a new kit. I would love them to have a whole host of heavy weapons that you can take, very much like Chaos have, but I don't know. I've put in, at the end of this, I've done a little roundup of all the units I think are staying. I've put new kit and they change into Gravis armor. I hope that we get a new kit. I really hope that Longfangs stay around as they are, and they're amazing, but I think that fundamentally they're going to change. But I think in some way they're staying around. It might even be that the old kit stays, and then at some point Devastator squads are going to get a rework, because let's face it, heavy weapons Space Marine teams are kind of sucky right now. You've got the big Gravis guys, and then you've got the t-shirt cannons, and it's all just a bit messy. It's all the same unit. It's all, you know, oh, they've all got to be melters. They've all got to be t-shirt cannon rocket launchers. They've all got to be plasma with the Hellblaster squads. What I want Space Marines to do, and this is part of the hope of it, I want to get back to a place where Space Marines can mix and match, and one can have a plasma cannon, one can have multi-melter, one can have a heavy flamer if you want. One can have a heavy bolter, one can have a las cannon, and you can just mix a squad. And maybe just have it as 5 models, you can only take 1 squad, but you have a whole host of heavy weapons in that squad, and they can just drop in and do damage. I really want that to be a thing. I hate how stale the Primaris have made Space Marines. How a tactical squad should be is not how intercessors are, is my problem. I miss special weapons and I miss heavy weapons mixed in with your standard troops. And it doesn't break the game to do that. Chaos have that. In all of their options, Chaos are set out like that. I think Space Wolves is a great place to show, okay, so we're doing this for Space Wolves, but down the line, you will get new Devastators in the true scale size. You will get to mix and match weapons with squads as we move forward. That's what I want, and I'm going with it, but I'm probably wrong. I accept that I'm probably wrong. Thunderwolf Cav we've touched on. Nobody's letting the dogs out at GW. Wolfen. There's nothing I can say. As an idea, and as part of the lore of Space Wolves, I think it works. I just don't think the models look good anymore. I think they're showing their age, and I don't think they get reworked this time round. And I think, honestly, it would be, with everything else that I think is coming, I think it would be just too much for them to look at doing Wolfen. But they're a cool idea. I would love to see them at some point in the future, but from everything that we've seen, I think Games Workshop is pushing Space Wolves back into that Nordic vibe, rather than, oh yeah, and they turn into wolves. That's definitely still going to be part of the lore, and that will happen, but I just think rest of 10th and probably 11th, we're not going to have access to Wolfen. Which means the Wolfen Dreadnought is gone. Because the Wolfen are gone. For now. I also think that the Venerable Dreadnought is gone. I think the kit that will do Bjorn and Murderfang, you can probably cobble together and do just a standard Ballistus or whatever. Maybe a Brutalis in a Space Wolf style, but I just don't see a Venerable Dreadnought being worked into that kit like it currently is. I also think that's one of the easier datasheets to cull because they kind of want this stuff to go into Heresy. And 40k has all of the new design stuff, all the bigger stuff, and Heresy gets all of the old 40k stuff. So I think that both Wolfen and Venerable Dreadnoughts are gone. Fenrisian Wolves. I don't know about unit size. I don't think that there will be 5 to 10 squads of 5 to 10 wolves running around, but I do think that Fenrisian Wolves are going to stay. And I think that because, one, we're getting them with the head takers, and I may be misguided by them saying the wolves also fight separately to the head takers, so maybe that means that they have a data sheet and you can have just wolves. I might be wrong on that, but I cannot see why, when there's so many types of wolves that are probably getting culled, I don't see why you'd get rid of all of them when a big part of the Space Wolf lore is that they have wolves that fight with them. I think the new wolves look incredible. As I've mentioned, those wolves have the odd little bit of cybernetic enhancement or touches or maybe replacing wounds, things. I think Cyberwolves are gone as a datasheet. I think it will just be Fenrisian Wolves. So they'll be gone, but I think that they're all going to be, like, the Fenrisian Wolf and the Cyberwolf datasheet is just going to be merged together. So you'll have little bits of each one. I've got to cull these sheets from somewhere, these data cards going down, losing 14, it's huge. So this is how I say it. I also think that the Cyberwolves are fine cast. They're not, I've just quickly Googled it. They are resin. But resin kits is being got rid of in 40k. So I think Cyberwolves are gone. Sadly. Wolf Scouts. I think this is another easy cull as well, because we already have brand new Scouts. They came out towards the end of... No, it was this edition, wasn't it? It was the end of Kill Team, but it's during 10th. There's been a lot of refreshes for Space Marines, hasn't there? But we've got new Scouts, they have a whole new beautiful kit, I love that kit. And I think, as cool as Wolf Scouts are, and the fact that they can take these old heavy weapons and things, special weapons, the pack leader has so many options, I think all of that will just be gone. There won't be a Wolf Scouts kit, but I can just see everybody having that. You don't need to do anything with them. The Scouts kit is new. Maybe down the line, and I don't know if this will work, but maybe down the line, Games Workshop are thinking, okay, we have a Scouts box. We want to do something with Space Wolves for Kill Team, so we're going to bring back Wolf Scouts. It's going to be an upgrade sprue. It's not really how they've been doing kill teams. Most of the new kill teams are whole new sculpts, but I can see something like that, potentially. Or maybe on the upgrade sprue, there is bits for scouts, a la the Black Templars, who have a beautiful upgrade sprue with loads of different options. A lot of that is to help tweak scout models for their Crusader squads. But sadly, I think the Wolf Scouts are gone. I'd love them to come back, I just don't see it. Stormfang gunship, it has to stay, right? They're not going to get rid of that. Same with the Stormwolf. Again, I just don't think it's going to go anywhere right now. I don't know how good it is, either of them, but I think it's things like that. There probably wouldn't be an outcry if they got rid of it, but it's things like that that give the Space Wolves that different feel that they have stuff like this, and I think they're quite nice kits. If they were in stock, I'd consider picking one up at some point. But yeah, I think both of them, and also because it's one kit that makes both, I just don't see them getting rid of that when it's an easy keep. I also think for the 20th datasheet that Russ returns. We are due a Loyalist Primarch, and while we're going back to Armageddon, it very, very easily could be that Vulcan returns, especially with whatever the Salamanders are getting coming soon. But with Fulgrim just having come back, it's time for a Loyalist Primarch to come out. Another one that returns to try and even up the numbers a little bit. We only have 2 to 4 at this point. I think it would be an easy win to bring Russ back, give him a really cool old man sort of Odin vibe. Maybe not with the one eye and eye patch thing, but I think you have him with the spear. I think you have him with like a hood, a little bit lion-esque with that hooded head, but a big cloak covering him, holding the spear in 2 hands, almost standing watch. And I think he is just an excellent choice to bring back another Primarch. Vulcan as well. I think because of how it was worded, I've got it into my head that Russ is coming back. And I just think he would be a fun character to bring someone who's a little bit more fun and jovial. Not quite as serious as certainly the Lion and certainly Guilliman. Somebody who is just there and he's like, right, you need this thing dead. You need Fulgrim taken care of. I'm going to go after Fulgrim. You want me to go batter Angron? I'll go batter Angron. Somebody who will take the fight with them instead of... I mean, the Lion's just sodded off, hasn't he really? But there's so many threats building up around the Imperium. I think narratively, there's a lot you could do by bringing Russ back. Do I think that it will happen? I mean, I do. I am fairly certain that Russ is the next Loyalist Primarch to come back. I don't know narratively how they'll spin it, because they did an amazing book with Son of the Forest, and they've done nothing with the Lion since. But who knows? Anyway, let's touch on the upgrade sprue. You can see there the very, very poorly cropped out Dark Angels sprue. That's everything that you get. You get quite a few different options. That's the old Primaris upgrade sprue. I think that's going to go, and it's going to get a very similar treatment to what the Dark Angels got. Blood Angels got slightly similar, but they also had less. No surprise there. But it'll be a good selection of shoulder pads, a selection of heads, although the Blood Claws and the Grey Hunters are getting quite a lot of bare heads in there as well, as befits the Space Wolves. I think their upgrade sprue is going to be quite extensive with iconography and axes and, you know, the dual-bladed chainswords and things. I hope. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So I just thought that we'd touch on an idea of what the upgrade sprue could be there. So I think, overall, and I got a bit excited with new kits, I'm going to be honest, but I think this is what's staying. Logan Grimnar on Storm Rider has the same sculpt. Njal Stormcaller is going to get a new Terminator sculpt. Bjorn the Fell-Handed and a Murderfang will be in a kit together, but they will both be new models. I think Arjac Rockfist gets a new Terminator sculpt. Wolf Priest we've already seen, he's new. The Wolf Guard Battle Leader we've already seen. That's another new one. The Wolf Guard Battle Leader in new Terminator armor. I think gets an individual release, but could also be part of the upgrade sprue. I'm counting him as a new model. Iron Priest, I think, gets a new sculpt. Ragnar Blackmane, he's going to stay as he is. There's nothing wrong with that sculpt. So of the first 10, I think there's 8 new sculpts, 2 of which we've already seen. And then the final 10, Wolflord. I don't know if it will be in Terminator armor or in Tacticus, as they call it, armor, but I think we're getting a Wolflord, so that's another new one. Bloodclaws we've seen, Grey Hunters we've seen, Long Fangs. I still think they're going to go the Gravis route. I think that they will be like the Space Wolves variant, as we've seen them do. Bloodclaws are basically the assault intercessors, Grey Hunters are normal intercessors, and Long Fangs I think will become the heavy intercessors, and I think that they will get something. I'm probably wrong on that, by the way. New Wolfguard Terminators, again, a whole new sculpts, just like the Deathwing Knights the Dark Angels got. Wolfguard Headtakers we've seen, Fenrisian Wolves, they're twinned with the Headtakers. I don't know if they'll release them separately, but I still think that we're getting something, certainly a datasheet for them. Stormfang and the Stormwolf, I think that they're sticking around. And then we're going to get Leman Russ as well. So my ridiculously high, and I know it's stupid, but the reason we do these videos is for me to throw out crazy ideas and you guys to shoot them down. But of the 20, that's 16 new sculpts. 4 remaining on my incredibly high copium guesses. And I don't know. I'm probably wrong. There's a very high chance that I will be wrong. It's just so hard to go from 34, well 33 because Logan Grimnar has 2. So hard to go from 33 to 20 with a faction that is so unique to everything else in terms of Space Marine wise, in terms of unit configurations. They have a variant for everything. I know I'm being silly. I know that 16 new kits for this range is not going to happen, but that's what I'd like to see. And that's what I think is going to stay. And if they're staying, I think there's a very strong argument that they get new units because everything is moving into this true scale. I just want to finish on this box. I think it's out in May, so it's coming very soon. But I think that this is the start of where Space Marines are going to be moving. I think that individuality that's been missing for the last 2 editions now is starting to come back. We saw it with the Dark Angels. The Blood Angels got well and truly shafted, but I think that the Blood Angels will actually get quite a nice little bit of extra down the line because they are a big enough faction to warrant it. There's no fixing them sanguinary guard as they are. You got to take off the flaps and give them proper wings, but I think that we're starting to actually move into territory where Primaris becomes a thing of the past. It will be acknowledged, it will forever be a stain on the law, but I think Space Marines will just go back to being Space Marines. The tactical squad, while it may function differently, I think we're going to get something. There's a 5-man, 10-man mix of weapons where you have a choice of 1 or 2 special weapons. I hope, anyway. But if you want to run more, you can take the Hellblasters or however you want to do it. But that's what I think. But let me know what you think is going to stay. I think this is going to be savage for existing Space Wolf players and existing Space Wolf armies. Hopefully we get a heads up on what's staying and what's going, but I think we all know that Games Workshop don't work that way. So we're all in for a bumpy ride on this one, but for now I think the new stuff is looking incredible, and I hope that the next set of stuff that we see, this second wave of range refresh, that will hopefully be coming soon, I think it's going to be something really, really cool, and I am getting super hyped on Space Wolves to the point where I'm already working out kit bashes and designing my own characters. So at the end of the day, at least that's exciting for me because I've fallen in love with the Space Wolves and the jovial nature of Russ and everything that I've seen. So I hope that this is the refresh that people want and this does pay off the Space Wolves fans and doesn't burn them. But either way, I've refound my love of 40k through this release, which very much surprises me. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.